Jonathan England is about to come on, talk about the 5 steps to enlightenment and prosperity in your life's purpose. This dude is a freaking powerhouse, hosting massive events, kicking butt, taking names. You definitely want to stay tuned because he's going to share the wisdom and the gold to empower you to be your GPS, your greatest possible self. So stick around, and I'm talking to you because you are becoming your greatest possible self. You're being and becoming, and you're here right now listening to this podcast, this YouTube, this live, whatever the case might be. So I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for showing up and choosing to be your GPS. However, I can support you in doing that, whether it's getting your butt to Jonathan's upcoming event. If you're going to do that, do it. Take the leap. We're going to talk about it in this interview, but do that. If it's staying tuned to the 12-hour live stream, the podcast, marathon, whatever it might be, subscribing, staying tuned like that, do that. If you're launching your own podcast, we'd love to support you in doing that. We love helping our clients do that. So whatever the way is, just take your next steps and know that you are enough. You got this. Trust yourself, and everything is always working out for our highest and best good. Cool. Very cool. Absolutely. Let's talk about the iTunes review of the week. This week, it's by Stephanie Zito. Stephanie says, inspiring podcast. I love Chris's mission and attitude towards life. I gain a lot of great tips for self-development and running my business through this content. Awesome. I appreciate it, Stephanie. Thank you so much for sharing that review. If you want to give us a review, go to beergps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store or on your favorite podcast streaming platform. And give us a review. Let us know what you love about the show, what you want to see more of, and how we can keep supporting you to become your greatest possible self. Definitely subscribe while you're there because we release a new episode just about every single day. We are hardcore like that. And we're going to have a lot of fun in this interview with Jonathan. Make sure you stick around all the way through till the end because one of these ideas has the power to transform your life. And this guy's doing some great things. So definitely someone to listen to, a role model, a mentor, a coach, a leader you want to stay connected with. He's doing awesome things. Let's introduce Jonathan, and then we will bring him on the screen. Jonathan England is the author of the best-selling book, If I Die Before I Wake, a coach, a teacher, a healer, a speaker, and a creator of Earthwaking University. His purpose is to reinvent the educational system. John went from a broke, ignorant, blackout, drunk, atheist, beach bum to building a multi-million-dollar real estate empire in a 2-year period, and then had a spiritual awakening and gave it all away in order to release his attachment to worldly things, only to realize worldly things are a necessary component to living his life's purpose. This is what led him to creating a global movement, giving people the tools, resources, and community needed to do well while doing good. John's superpower is helping people find their life's purpose and build a profitable business around it. A profitable business around it. That's right. You deserve to get paid for your gifts and your value that you bring to the world. Yes, you do. A profitable business around it to create income and impact. And we are blessed to have this epic, legendary human being with us today. John, are you ready to rock the house, my man?
I'm ready. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here. We're live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. We're going to dive into an epic conversation. The first question, though, is a life of greatness, John. What does that mean to you, a life of greatness?
Just living on purpose. I always say, the first thing, and as we're going to go through these 5 levels in just a moment, but I'll just kind of give you a little preview of the 5 levels. At first, people think that life is about the destination. And then you realize, wait a minute. Once you start to evolve through these levels, you start to realize it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And you're like, actually, it's not even about the journey, because even the journey, each journey is going to end anyway. So it's not about that. It's about who you become along the journey. You're like, because that's the only thing that lasts. But then what you really, really, truly find out is that it wasn't about the destination. It wasn't about the journey. It wasn't about who you became along the journey. It was about finding out who you've always been or remembering who you've always been. So, a great life is really just about remembering. I always say our core message to the world at Earthwaking University is your only job for being alive is to be you. And the only way you can possibly fail is by trying to be something that you're not. And your difference is the only thing that can make a difference. So it's about finding out who and why you are and just letting all the social conditioning die so the true you can shine through. It's kind of like we're all lighthouses, but this society just caked all this mud on us, so the light's not coming out. So it's just about cleansing all the mud off. You don't have to change you. The watermelon seed has everything it needs to become the watermelon already inside of it. and so do you. So let's just clean off the mud and let you shine through. So that's a great life when you're shining fully.
Blowing it right open, Jonathan. I love it, man. This is awesome. And your articulation, your metaphors, your imagery, I love it. And also the depth of your message too, because it could all just be, for show, but I know who you are, man, is you're bringing this deep level of your purpose, people's like greatest gifts in life, to be able to shine those through and serve people and love people with those. And, do well financially in relationships and in our well-being while doing good. Hallelujah, man. I love your mission. I love what you're up to, dude. It's super cool.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man. Yeah. So let's dive in. Tell us a little bit more about Earthwaking University, like the overall, like what you're out to accomplish with that. I mentioned it in your intro a little bit, but in your own words, we can get into the 5 levels and stuff in a bit, but I just want to hear in your own words, like how you serve your clients and just like, what do you stand for, man?
So Earthwaking University is kind of like I always say, what happens if you take a healthy fish and you put him in a dirty fish tank? What happens to the fish?
Nice.
He's going to get sick and he's going to die. So Earthwaking is like the healthy fish tank.
Yes.
So what we teach, the core, the foundations, our pillars of focus are health, wealth, happiness, relationships, and spiritual connection, because those are the 5 things that really matter to people, yet the 5 things you learn nothing about in school. Yep. It's cool. I was actually reading Chris. I saw your thing and I was like, look, health, wealth. I mean, you even had the same order: health, wealth, happiness, relationships. Yep. And then you had a couple things in there and then the spiritual thing. I'm like, what the? So it's perfectly aligned. But yeah, so that's exactly Earthwaking University, because again, these are the things that people really care about. They're really the needle movers for people. But you learn nothing about that in school. You just learn about stuff. Like my wife, she went to school. So now we're talking about university, like college level. She went to school to be a dental hygienist, and she's telling me the other day about some of the classes that she took. And one of the things she was saying was that she actually she like dissected a cat. Like she had to cut a cat open, and I'm like, what does that have to do with cleaning people's teeth? Like that doesn't seem like that's getting you anywhere near what you want. I mean. And I mean, and she's just like a big heart, she's vegetarian. So imagine how much she had to numb herself, to numb her heart and numb her feelings in order to just do the things that they told her that she had to do in order to get to where she wanted to go. Wow. So it's all about, we're born powerful creators, but then we're socially conditioned to consume. We've fallen under the illusion that we're consumers and we need something from the outside in to make us happy. And that's how we become puppets on a string. Yeah. It's like, oh, you need this, you need that. Oh, you need the new iPhone, or you need all these things to make you happy. So then all of a sudden you're just getting a puppet on a string. So a powerful creator conditioned to consume. So Earthwaking University, if you take the 30,000 foot view, the real purpose of it is to come through and to flip that switch back. So you can imagine if you got like a pump inside of you, the pump got the switch got flipped to vacuum. Wow. So it was from consumer. So we flip it back to creator. Or from black hole to supernova, or love, or fear to love, and consumer to creator. So, dude, that's the high level, is flipping the switch back. And again, we bring you through and really get you your literacy in health, wealth, happiness, relationships, and spiritual connection. We don't chase means goals. Like when I say wealth, I don't say because we don't treat symptoms. We treat the cause. Now, the cause of everything is really like, because you're manifesting your reality with your subconscious belief systems. Yeah. Manifest does not mean to create. It means to make obvious what is already there. What's wrong is always available. So is what's right. You can choose what to focus on. What you focus on expands. So we manifest our reality. Wow. So in truth, the only thing that exists is love. But you can live inside of reality, because what you believe to be true is true for you. You could live inside of a reality that isn't even true. And it could completely be a real, a reality for you. Like maybe when you were a little kid, you might have thought there was an Easter bunny, and you lived inside of a reality where there was an Easter bunny. That didn't make there actually be an Easter bunny, but you had that experience. So we're really here to flip that switch back, so you can step into truth and go straight for the end goals, and stop treating symptoms and go straight for the cause and flip that stuff, and all of a sudden everything happens easily and effortlessly. Your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships, your spiritual connection. I mean, my mom was on hospice 5 years ago, given less than a month to live. Yeah. Hospice nurses looked me right in the eyes and said, she's going to die in 2 weeks. You need to prepare yourself for that. Now my mom's in better health than she's been in 20 years. About a year and a half ago was the first time in 20 years she didn't have to take a wheelchair when we went on a vacation. About a year ago was the last time she used a wheelchair. About 9 months ago was the last time she used a walker. About 8 months ago was the last time she used a cane. And now she's off all of her medications. All of her, she used to be like a walking pharmacy, like literally like just so many prescription drugs she had to take every day. The doctor said, you got to be on these the rest of your life. If you don't take this, your heart will pop. So we treated the cause, not the symptoms. And so that's what we're all about.
Was that like the subconscious beliefs that she was operating from?
Yeah. Because again, in truth, I mean, you know, what happens when you take light and introduce it into darkness? What happens to the darkness?
It disappears.
It never even existed. It was just the absence of light, which isn't even a real, you know, it's an artificial creation. So what happens when you introduce truth into a lie? What happens to the lie?
Disappears.
It dissolves. It never even existed. Now, so we're gonna go a little bit deep right out of the gates here. You ready to go deep?
Yes.
All right. So what happens when you introduce eternity into time? What happens to time?
Disappears.
It dissolves. So even though you can exist in an experience of time, it doesn't even exist. So all we did was tapped her into her eternal perspective. Damn. And you know, that's what, you know, faith. You step into faith. With faith is not, you know, a miracle is just a collapsing of time. What you would think could take forever to create, it collapses, and it's just a collapsing of time because time is illusion in the first place. So all we did was collapse time and set her free. And that's what we do. Like
that's what we do. We collapse time, create miracles.
That's what
I love it. Dude,
it's
so freaking powerful.
Just BS, belief systems.
Yeah, because like anything is possible, and the only reason we experience the reality that we do is because we believe that's what it's supposed to be. So this is gold, man. I want to dive back into your journey, talk about the aspect of you know, becoming multimillionaire, real estate. Tell us about that time. What was driving you, and what was that transformation like at that point?
Okay, so it all started, you know, I was a little kid. I had an older brother who had muscular dystrophy, which is a terminal disease. So I'd been prepared his whole life. I knew that he was going to die at a young age. And when I was 12 years old and he was 16, he passed away. And I was actually holding his hand in that moment. And it doesn't matter that I prepared for it my whole life. You still just can't really prepare for something like that. And I formed a belief in that moment that life was meaningless. Like, how could there be any meaning to life if my brother was in a wheelchair most of his life and it was a short life? He couldn't even feed himself. Like, it just seemed like it didn't make any sense. There was no way there could be meaning to life logically. Yeah. So that's where I went down that path. That's how I became broke, ignorant, blackout, drunk, atheist, speech bum. Wow. So then one day you ever notice whenever it's time to get a lesson in life, it comes first as a little feather stroke. It's like, hey, maybe you should go a little bit different. Maybe go this way. But if you don't get the feather stroke, then the nudge comes. And if you get the nudge, then here comes the shove. And if you don't get the shove, then here comes the cosmic 2x4. And sometimes you don't even get the cosmic 2x4. So then they got to put nails and spikes in it. And then you get hit with that thing. So I had to take multiple cosmic 2x4s before I finally woke up. Just woke up from level 1 to level 2, which that level 2 is the level of success. So, and just taking responsibility for your reality. So my cosmic 2x4 with the spikes in it was, I was blackout drunk one night and I rear-ended a car at a stoplight. And so then I was in jail. It's like, all right, this is insanity, John. And I guess most people know what the definition of insanity is. You know what that is?
Same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah. So how many people have done that on here, right? We've all been doing it. So I was like, all right. And it's like Groundhog Day. It's like keep waking up the same day over and over. You know, I'd literally blackout drunk 6 nights a week. I wouldn't know. I'd wake up and it was actually kind of fun because it's like Easter. I'm like trying to find all the eggs that were the memories of last night. Well, I didn't have them. I had to go find other people that could like say, this is what happened and this is what happened. And I'm like, oh. So, but it was just like, it was crazy. It was insanity. So I'm sitting in jail. I'm like, this just isn't working, John, because really all I wanted is I just wanted to be happy. Yeah. But I couldn't figure out how to do it. That's why I was getting blackout drunk, because if I could just numb myself enough, then I could feel, it felt like peace. It wasn't actually peace, but it was, at least I wasn't like trapped inside of this, the jail, the prison, my own self-imposed prison. So, I'm sitting there like, something's got to change, John. And then this like light bulb went off, and it's just crazy how situations in our lives can be used. And I always say we fall into heaven through the floor of hell. That's a good one. Sometimes we fall into heaven through the floor of hell, where the shit just gets so bad. Can we cuss on here?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. All right. The shit just gets so bad that you just kind of say, all right, I give up. I surrender. I quit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like everything you've been pushing against. You didn't realize, but you were like the fly banging his head on the window, and you didn't even know it until you finally stopped banging your head on the window, and then you're like, oh, I quit. And then you look around and you're like, oh, it's a dang window right there. And you look around. So this moment, I was like, this isn't working. But the powerful thing wasn't even that this wasn't working. It was that I could have killed somebody that night.
Wow.
I literally could have killed someone. And thinking about the fact that I could have killed someone, then I was like, wait a minute. That means life isn't just about me, because my decisions actually matter.
Yeah. Wow.
If I could make a decision that could kill someone, I could make another decision that could also do what?
Bring value to people, bring them to life.
Bring value to people. I could help people. I was like, wait a minute. So suddenly life wasn't so meaningless.
Wow.
I was like, there is some meaning. I can actually, my decisions matter. If I make a decision, it can create an impact on the planet. What if I start making decisions that help other people? I was like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. Maybe then I'll find happiness. So I'm like, well, how do I do that? Because I didn't know anything about helping other people. I was like, just trapped inside of my own world, just trying to it's all about me.
Yeah.
Now
Survival.
Now I'm like, how do I make it about somebody else? So I'm like, what about a family? Maybe I need to get a family. So, and I already had my mom, and I was like, all right, so I'm going to go make a whole bunch of money. I'm going to buy a big house. I'm going to, create a family, and we're just going to have amazing life, just going on vacations all the time. And my job, what's going to make me happy is making my family happy. So that's what drove me into being a successful real estate investor. I was trying to figure out how to be happy. So I still wanted the same result, which was happiness. Yeah. I just was looking for a different vehicle. Before, it was like partying and drugs and whatever I could find. That didn't work. So then my next vehicle was success. That'll do it. Yeah. Well, come to find out that doesn't do it either. Right. And you'll hear about that as we go through the 5 levels, because that's level 2.
This is great, man. I've never heard that before. That the decisions that we have, they have an impact on others. I think that was also my wake up call, man. I was partying, going to raves, and like I hit my rock bottom moment, and I felt the pain that I was causing other people. Yes. And I said, that's not who I am, man. And so that was my wake up moment. But I've never seen a correlation between like someone's like aha moment and inflicting pain on others because of a lack of consciousness or whatever might be there. So that's fascinating, man. I never seen that.
Yeah, but I would assume that's probably, if people were to look back at what their wake up moment was, it would probably, I'm just guessing, just throw it out there, but if they really looked, it would probably be like, I'm causing a lot of pain on other people, and this is that's not who I am, and I don't know who I am, but that's not it, because we're just trying to figure out how to be happy, but really. Maybe we're just trying to figure out how to be good enough. We're like, if I can be good enough, then I'll be happy. So it's really good enough is below happiness, is like, because it's like the onion. Yeah. So there's that way, like, but see what people are doing. They just want to be loved. Yeah. Now, as we go back full circle on the 5 levels, you realize that, there's this one quote I always say that, if you think happiness is, or if you think love is something that you get, lack will always ensue. Wow. If you think love is something that you give, you'll be or the world will be several shades lighter. But you will forever miss the mark until you realize that love is something that you are. It's not something that you're going to get outside of yourself. It's not even something. It's more. So it's not an either or world. It's an and world. I was about to say it's more of a noun than it is a verb. Yeah. But it's actually both. Yes. But people need to get to the fact that it's a noun before they can even understand that it's a verb too. Because if they go verb before noun, I don't know if you guys are following me on this, but if you go verb on love before you go to noun on love, that it's just a beingness, then you'll be chasing the verb. You'll be trying to do happiness rather than be it. Once you be it, then the verb comes out and you express it. It just comes from within you instead of you having to figure out how to do it. So you'll do things from your worthiness rather than for your worthiness. How did I get on that? I had a point that I was talking about.
That was great, though. No, this is great. So I wanted to talk about your evolution past that, because this is great. You know, who are you being? It's like that deepest level, the love, right? Like remembering that we are love. Like that's the deepest level. I love that we've touched on that, and I want to continue on your journey, though. Like after you said, "Hey, I'm going to give it all away." When did that happen? Like, why did that happen?
Well, it started. So we're kind of walking through the 5 levels as we're talking about my journey. So at level 1, I was blackout, drunk, ignorant, beach bum. Level 2, so I was like all in. I'm like, I got to figure out how to make my family happy. So really, I was trying to figure out how to make myself happy, and I thought by being a good enough like making enough money and making my family happy enough, taking them all on vacations, then I would finally be worthy of love. So I was still doing it for my worthiness rather than from. So then there was a point where it was just, so this was the point where I guess there was several times where I fell through the floor of hell into heaven. So this was the next one. So the first one was the rear end of the car at the stoplight. The second one was after I built this multi-million-dollar empire. We just vacation all the time, thinking that's going to do it, right? That's what the world said. The world told me this is what's going to happen if I just get, do this. I'm successful and I got all the money and we don't have to work. Then that's going to do it. Well, it actually got worse. Wow. Like, this isn't making sense. But what started happening is my girlfriend at the time, she was addicted to Oxycontin. Wow. She's like had an opioid addiction. We had her boys were like just punching each other in the face. Like she had twin boys. They were just like punching holes in the walls, like just going crazy. My mom was on hospice. This is all happening at that time. Wow. My mom's on hospice, given less than a month to live. So I put my little hero outfit on one last, because what was happening is I was trying to be a bigger and bigger hero. Right. But the thing is, if you become a superhero, you can only be a superhero if you've got a what?
Superpower?
Well, yeah.
Someone to save?
Yeah. So you're going to need so a hero needs a villain and a victim.
Yes.
A superhero needs a superhero and a supervillain.
Wow.
So really what was happening is the people in my life were becoming super victims so I could be a superhero. Wow. And all the shit was coming on us because it was the supervillain that I was fighting against to protect them. And it was all so I could prove my worthiness. And I couldn't see it. I had no idea that was happening. But anyway, I threw my cape on one last time and I brought my my girlfriend and her brother, like, because I was like, all right, maybe this will make her happy, because she had never had any connection like with her family. She's like, I was like, what if I could bring her family and reconnect that bond, and that maybe that'll make her happy. So her brother calls, and he had just gotten out of jail, and he was like, man, I burned all my bridges, man, because he had been on crack. But he's like, I'm not on crack anymore. I'm out of jail. I burned all my bridges, but can you please take me in and help me? And I'm like, of course I can do that. And so I bring him in the middle of all this stuff. And then within a couple weeks, he had stolen my credit card, charged up thousands of dollars on this, stole all my tools, stole my car, like literally stole my truck. Wow. And like, this is in the middle of everything, like all these things happening all at once. And then at like this point, like all my friends started turning on me too. Like the people that I'd been with for like 15 years, my best friends, like all of a sudden they just start hating me. And I'm like, this is weird, because my whole life, everybody's loved me. Yeah. And I didn't, I was just trying to help everybody. And it just like the whole world turned on me. And so finally I laid my head down, and it was the first time in my life where I laid my head down and I just said, I failed. I'm a failure. Yeah. And in that moment when I said I failed, I'm a failure, it's like all of a sudden, like I lifted my head back up and this weight lifts off my shoulders. And I was like, what's that? And what had happened was everything I thought I had to be died in that moment. Wow. Because I couldn't be it. I'd given everything. I mean, I literally, because I used to be an all or nothing guy. I mean, all in or all out. Right? Yeah. So I was all in, everything I had. I mean, literally every ounce of my being, everything, to try to be who I thought I needed to be in order to be worthy of love. And that was the moment where I realized it wasn't working. No, I didn't have anything left in me. And now I'd never admitted I was a failure ever before, because how could, failure be worthy of love? I needed to be a hero. Heroes don't ever fail. So that's the only, so I couldn't admit that to myself. So when I did that, everything I thought I had to be died. And I was like, well, wait a minute. If I'm not that, then who am I? What am I? And that's when the just the whole thing opened up.
The cosmic epiphany.
The veil was removed, and there was no longer the filter. That's okay. So the lighthouse, that's when all the mud just went all at once. It's like the storm came, and what the storm actually did was it cleaned all the mud off. I thought the hurricane was about to destroy me, but I'm in a lighthouse sitting here thinking I'm getting destroyed by a hurricane, but really the hurricane was just blasting all the mud off.
Yep.
And then hurricane was done, and all of a sudden the light's there. I'm like, oh, well, I'll be. And I don't even have to do anything for this light to shine. It just is. And that's when love became a noun for me.
So that's an experience. I want to get like kind of practical, tactical. For someone who hasn't like hit that point of like rock bottom where everything that they thought was their reality is shaken from them so they can truly experience who they are at the core, that love. How does someone get to that level of truth and knowingness?
Now, so I always say so imagine you've got a cup of water and it's full of dirt.
Okay.
And you want to have a clean cup of water.
Yep.
Well, there's two ways to do it. You can either pour a bunch of clean water in and just keep pouring in until it pushes all the dirt out, and it'll take a while.
Right.
Or you just dump the dirty water out and then refill it, and that'll go a lot faster. So what you just heard was my experience of the water getting dumped out. All the muddy water got dumped out and then refilled. So the only way to do that is like to put your ass on the line and go all out, like giving everything you got to be whoever you think you got to be. And then what's going to happen is there's another. We kind of call them in my little group here. We call them Johnisms.
Yeah.
Where so here's another little Johnism. It's oh, now I lost it. What was I just saying?
Dumping the water out. Who you got to become?
I lost the Johnism. All right.
So how to have that moment?
Oh, it appears there. It is. This is it. It appears without, though it is within. So appears, it looks like it's out there, but it's in here. It shows up on the outside, but it's on the inside. Remember what I said earlier? We manifest our reality with our subconscious belief systems. Manifest does not mean to create. Manifest means to make obvious what is already there. What's wrong is always available. So is what's right. You can choose what to focus on. What you focus on expands. So that being said, what's going to happen is when you start giving it your all, you put your ass on the line and give everything you got, all of your fears are going to move from within you to without. And you're going to start to face them. You're going to see them, and they're going to be surrounding you, all around you. So that's the one way. Just go all out. Go for it. And that's like ripping the Band-Aid off. Now, the other way is the consistent spaced repetition.
Yes.
So that's where you just like, you just get the by far the fastest way, the easiest way. If you don't want to go through that crap, just find yourself a good, healthy environment. Remember we said what happens if you take a healthy fish and you put him in a dirty fish tank? What's going to happen to the fish? He's going to get sick and he's going to die. But if you take that dirty fish and you put him in a healthy fish tank, suddenly he starts to get cleaned up. And he doesn't have to go through the crap, and like he doesn't have to get chased by the sharks until he like finally finds his own, like, creates his own world. It's like you can just find that healthy fish tank and get cleaned up, and that's the fastest way to do it. Find people that are inspiring, that are full of gratitude, full of passion and purpose and life, and are creators and givers. Get yourself around those people, and then it'll be like osmosis. That would be by far the fastest, the best. If I would give you one thing, if you want to take one thing away from this little talk we're having here, get yourself in a good environment. Find the people that are just full of love and actually, doing well while doing good. Make sure they're doing both. Because like the pendulum could swing. So what happened with my life is like, oh yeah, you asked me the question about how. So I was a successful real estate investor. So that would be over here like all about success. And actually, so I'm going to say capitalist and spiritual. So I actually have a mastermind group called Spiritual Capitalist.
Love it.
Because remember, I said earlier, I used to be an all or nothing guy. It's like all in or all out. Because I used to think it was an either or world, but now I realize it's an and world. Yes. And so I realized, spiritual capitalist. It's not an either or. It's or world. It's an and world. No margin, no mission. I've got to do this. So basically what happened, I was in the capitalist realm and thinking I gave everything I had to be a capitalist, to just the success, money, and and I got all the way to the end of that road, and like, there's nothing here. I've been duped. So then my pendulum swung the complete opposite way. So remember, I was broke, ignorant, blackout drunk, atheist, beach bum. So I was like what I would call an evangelist atheist, meaning it was my job to convince people God wasn't real. So when my pendulum swung, I went spiritual. So I went all the way from worldly to all the way spiritual as you can possibly get. Yeah. And then, I started going to church 5 times every Sunday, twice every Wednesday, and all different churches. It wasn't just one of them. And what I did differently this time is, you always get what you focus on, what you're looking for. If you want to know what you're looking for, look at what you're getting. The only reason you're getting it is because you're looking for it. Right. So what had happened the first go around is I was looking for why God wasn't real. Right. And that's what I was searching for. I mean, and so anywhere I'd go, I could find that. And that's what, so anytime I'd go to a church or anything like that, I'll just like, you're an idiot, man. That's what I would say to people. You can't tell, because they just spit these little Bible verses at me. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? I mean, I'll write a book and then I'll spit the verses at you about my book. That's not going to prove anything. It's just what I said. So then when I go back, I was like, all right, you know what I'm going to do this time? I'm going to start looking for what's right instead of what's wrong. Yeah. And then I started like noticing, I'm like, okay, that's true. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, there's some validation there. Before, all I saw was lies and manipulation and control and people, just trying to push their dogma on me and stuff. But this time I'm like, okay, there's truth in that. Okay, that makes sense. Hey, that feels good. And then I started to notice like different people were saying the exact same things, and like even different people that didn't even like each other, different religions that didn't like each other. I'm like, how come you said the same thing they said? And it's like, I started to see the picture. I've got one of my mentors, Eben Pagan. He once said, he said a brilliant cut diamond has 57 facets on it. And if you just see one facet, just one face of it, you don't know you're looking at a diamond until you start to circle around. And you start to add all the facets to it. You're like, oh, now I see what it is. Wow. It's a diamond I've been holding this whole time. So that's kind of the way it went, where I started to see all the different facets. But anyway, I was all in spiritual. So all in spiritual means, all right, I'm giving away everything I got. I mean, I gave away $400,000 house. I gave away car. I gave away, multiple houses, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, several houses. I gave away several houses, literally over $1 million worth of cash and assets in just a 12-month period. Wow. So how that whole turned out too is now I did find what I was looking for, which was just peace, love, and joy. I finally found it. Now, the thing is, I found it by realizing that I had it the whole time. Yeah. The only reason we don't have happiness is because we assume it isn't already there. Mm-hmm. It's just our assumptions. And like we got all these rules on what has to happen. And those rules are just rules that were handed down to us. They're not even real. It's just like imaginary rules. Yep. If all these things happen, then you're allowed to be happy. Well, if you could just eliminate those rules, which is actually what happened when you dump the water out, all the rules go away. And suddenly you're like, well, I just am. And so it was all great. And then there was a point where I actually became homeless. No house, no car, no phone, 3 negative bank accounts. And this is where I actually met I'd already met her before. I did my Awaken Your Destiny masterclass. It's like this high level goal setting workshop. And this girl had come to it. And at the end of the class, I looked down and I was there with some of my friends, and she had just left. And I was like, I bet she would love me. That's just like, that's the only thing that came out. I was like, I bet she would love me. I said that to my friend. And then a couple months later, she showed back up. And this was about the point where I was now homeless. And so she took me into her little 1-bed. We made friends. And then she took me into her little 1-bedroom apartment. Wow. And, I'm sitting there in peace, love, and joy. I can go sit in the woods. I can sit in the cave. I can be standing in the rain, lightning around me. It didn't matter. I was just going to still be in the same level of peace, love, and joy, no matter what was happening. Wow. And that was all good until I'm sitting there in her little 1-bedroom apartment. And then I actually moved my mom in too. So now, we actually moved up to a 2-bedroom apartment. So we moved on up and got a little 2-bedroom apartment. My mom's in there. And then, Mel had kids. So there's a little baby and then an older boy. He's 10 now, but everything's going great. I'm happy, full of love, full of joy. And then all of a sudden the eviction notice hits the door. I'm like, huh, well, I've got this here's another little Johnism. I don't believe in that there's anything that works. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just what works or doesn't work, given what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's no judgment on things. But now all of a sudden I was like, well, this isn't working either, because I want to do good in the world. And I can't even take care of myself. You know, this single mom is basically taking care of me. And now the eviction notice, like, I can't even take care of myself, let alone the people I love.
Wow.
So this isn't working either. And that's when I realized, boom, not an either or world, spiritual capitalist. And that's when it came doing well while doing good. No margin, no mission. And here's another thing. If you have any judgment on anything, that thing might be out of balance. It's possible. Like you say, oh, you're a murderer. Okay, that, somebody killed somebody, could be out of balance. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but that's none of your business. Your business is that if you're judging someone or something, you can guarantee that you're out of balance. You don't know for certain if they are, but you know that you are. If you have a judgment on anyone or anything, that means you're out of balance. Wow. So they could be out of balance, but you know you are. That means you need to either go like halfway to where they are, or somewhere in the middle, or all the way. Like I'm sure when you're a kid, you thought your parents were out of balance at some times. You're like, no, you're a-hole, mama. but come back around, you're like, crap, I was out of balance. She was right in the middle. She was exactly where she needed to be, and I was judging her. Wow. So you could be way off, or they could be out of balance, but for certain if you're judging, then you're out of balance. So become more like the thing that you think is bad. Wow. And that's how you're going to get to your next level. So if there's another thing that you're going to take away from this, take that.
Wow.
Your judgments are leading you to your next level. Release those judgments, become a little bit more like that in some way. And because you're like, oh, well, just the other day I heard somebody was talking about, she had to sit and listen to somebody just blabber about these negative comments and just being so negative and spewing it all over. And she just sat there and took it. And she was like, I had to, because for me to just like turn around and walk away, that'd be rude. Like, oh, so you're judging rude people. You're going to have to become you're sitting here not doing what you need to do because of your judgment on rude people, because I wouldn't be a good person if I was rude. Wow. Well, start being rude, and then you'll be able to make it to your next level. Kind of like a Yes Man. You guys seen that movie, Yes Man? Yep. Yeah, where he had to start saying yes to everything. Yeah. So you might have to do that for a little. Go out of balance. It's going to feel weird to you because we do the wrong thing so long that the right thing feels wrong. That's another Johnism. Wow. Sometimes we do the wrong thing so long that the right thing feels wrong. So it's going to feel wrong when you start doing the right thing, because everything that you've done has gotten you where you are. If you want to get somewhere different, you're going to have to do something different. Everything you have is inside of your comfort zone. Everything that you want and don't have is outside of your comfort zone. So the only way to get it is to get what? Uncomfortable. Yep. Right?
Dude, so are we at, I think, level 3 on the stage of?
So we've actually went to level 4.
Okay.
So level 3 was when I was just one with everything. Like,
Yep.
Level 4 was then where I started saying, oh, okay, now I've got to figure out how to actually serve.
Spiritual capitalism.
Yes. Yeah. So spiritual capitalism began in level 4. And actually it's a merger in between 4 and 5. Yeah. So, those kind of go together. I'll tell you actually how I got to level 5. This is a pretty wild story. I got some really wild stories. This is one of like where the wildness really began, I guess. So after I'd been going to all the church and everything, all these different churches and everything, one day I saw one of my friends so I used to be in a punk rock band back when I was in level 1. And I, our band was called Lost in the Sauce. And we earned that name. I'd be up on stage playing, and they're just like, everybody knew that I loved wild turkey. That was my drink. So I'd be playing, they'd just come pouring shots of turkey down our throats, and it was pretty wild. So anyway, full circle. So there was another band that we played with a lot. It was a reggae band, and they were called Modern Motion. So whenever I left, because I left all my friends in order to become successful. Yes. I got to get myself out of this reality and put myself in a new one. Yeah. So one of the bass player from that other band, Modern Motion, he had also left that reality. Wow. And when I went and built a successful real estate business, he had went and built the largest taxi cab company in Panama City where we're at. So in those same like few year period, we both built like these massive things, and we were very, very successful. And then all of a sudden I see him, he was in the parking lot of this church that I was at, and he was like, "Hey man, we should go play some music. It's been a long time." I was like, "Okay." And he had this little storage shed where he painted his cars, and he had where he painted his taxi cabs, but he had a recording studio in the back of it.
Wow.
So we went in there and we're playing inside the recording studio. I'm playing drums at this time, and he's playing on the guitar. And then we're in there for a couple hours, and then we look up, and there's this guy clapping. There's a guy standing in the storage shed with us clapping. And he's like, "Man, that was great, man. I've been standing here for 20 minutes. Y'all didn't even see me." So then my friend had to leave. So now I'm sitting here like, well, we all had to go outside, but so now I'm standing outside the storage shed with this big like redneck dude. He's like 6'4", probably. I mean, he's a big dude, and his curly hair just like talks real redneck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's really weird. But I gave him my business card. The next day was actually my birthday.
Wow.
And I was meditating. I was in a little meditation group, and I come out of the meditation group and my phone starts ringing. And it was from a strange number. Now, I never answer phone calls if I don't know who they are. I'm like, they'll leave a message, or I'm not going to go on their schedule. They're going to have to come on mine.
Right.
So, but something in me just said, answer this call. I'm like, all right. So I answer the call, and it's this dude from the storage shed. He's like, "Oh God, I don't know what's going on. Something's come over me. I got to meet with you right now. I got to meet with you because God's got a message for you." And I'm like, what?
What?
And it's like, if God's got a message for me, he can come to me. But here's another little thing I always say is it's not that there's only one God. It's that there is only God.
Yeah.
And in him we live and move and have our being. So everything is that. So there's no place that God is not. So of course God can speak through people because people are, we're all conduits. That's all that exists. So, so I was like, all right, fine. Where are you at? And he said, I'm at Walmart parking lot. I'm like, oh, great. And he's like, meet me there in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. And so I start driving to Walmart parking lot. Now I'm in Florida at this time. My dad lives in Kentucky. But I call my dad on the phone. I'm like, "Dad, I don't know what's going on, but some weird redneck dude that I met in a storage shed is called me and said he's got a message from God for me. And he wants to meet me at Walmart parking lot. So if you never hear from me again, then check the cameras at Walmart parking lot, because that's the last place I was at." And I was serious. I mean, I didn't know what was about to happen. So I pull up in the Walmart parking lot, and the guy's he's got this little yellow truck, and he's like underneath the lights, like coming down it's like coming down over his truck. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, because it's like this little beam of light. And I'm like, and I pull up, and the passenger door on his truck is open, and I pull up next to him. I had a little Prius at this time, and he's like, "Get in." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Get in." I'm like, all right. So for some reason I got in his little truck, and he said, "Shut the door." Now remember, I'm an all or nothing guy. So this time I'm still like all in, like, all right, let's go. Let's do this thing. So I shut the door. He cranks up the engine. He starts rocking back and forth, and he starts speaking in tongues. And I'm like, what is going on here? And then he puts the truck in gear, and he's like rocking back and forth, speaking in tongues. And he starts driving. And he starts saying, "God really loves you. God really loves you." And I'm thinking, I hope so. So then I sat there. Now, remember, I had a highly trained BS spotter because I was an evangelist atheist for a long time. I was very good at convincing people that God wasn't real.
Yeah.
That was my job. So I'm like, I'm just waiting. I'm like, I'm going to call you. I'm going to find your bullshit. And in just a moment, I'm going to spot it, and I'm going to call your ass on it. So I'm sitting there for 45 minutes. He's driving me around. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, that's true. Okay, that makes sense. That's true. That's true. How's he know that? How's he know that? He starts talking about my childhood, my parents, my grandparents.
Wow.
He starts talking about my future. And I'm like, holy crap. Now, so there's this thing he said. He said, in 3 days, God's going to come to you. And he's going to ask for your life. And if you give it to him, you can never take credit for everything. Or no, if you give it to him, he's going to give you favor, but you can never take credit for anything ever again. Wow. I'm like, all right. So after I got out of the car, the next day I called one of my friends, real religious guy. I'm like, "Hey man, what do you know about prophecies and speaking in tongues and all this kind of stuff?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, it's all in the Bible. Now there is a part where it says a false prophet should be put to death. So, if he's this guy's serious, then, he's like, the guy put a deadline. He said in 3 days is going to happen." I said, "Yeah, 3 days." He's like, "Well, you're going to know in 3 days that either this is the real deal or you need to run like hell away from this guy as far as you can get. So there, 3 days later, it happened, 11:59. And so this was January 25th. Well, at midnight, it would be January 25th.
Yeah.
So all that stuff happened on my birthday, January 22nd. January 25th, 2015 was when it happened. And God asked for my life. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do with it? And now I'm sitting there like, what are you going to do with it, God? Like, and no answer. So now I'm stuck into my own thoughts again. I'm like, well, what's worst case scenario? And what I came up with was like, worst case scenario would be, I started remembering there was a time that I'd wrecked my dirt bike and I hit my head and I got amnesia. Wow. So I was, for like a whole day, I didn't know anybody. And it was really scary because I was like, how do I even know if I even exist? Like, am I even real? Like, how do I know I'm real? Like, because I don't even have any of my memories because I thought I was my thoughts back then. So I'm like, what if I lost all of my cognitive skills? Like, what if all my cognitive function? What if I was just like, like a vegetable? Like, that would be the scariest thing for me. Yeah. And so I was sitting there thinking, I'm using my cognitive skills to determine. And I'm like, well, if this is God, logically, if this is God, and I'm going to die anyway, then I might as well just do it now. Why would I wait? And so I said, all right, yes, I surrender. No matter what it is, I surrender, and here's my life. And that's when that was this was intro level 5. Like, just this like rush come over my whole body. And suddenly I truly knew what peace, love, and joy was for the first time in my life. Wow. Now, looking back, see, I didn't know what happened then, but looking back, hindsight's 2020, I can actually see what really happened. I actually had to lay my God on the altar. What I didn't realize my God was my mind.
Wow.
That's the reason I was an atheist, because everything had to be so logical. I was trapped inside of my own mind. So I always say life is an 18-inch journey from the head through the emotions to the heart.
Wow.
We're trying to process things from the outside in with our judger, but we need to go the opposite way, from the inside out, where we're the creator, not the consumer. So that was when I laid my mind down, because I used to play chess with life. I used to think, if I do this, then that'll happen, then I do that, and that'll happen. And I'm just trying to figure it all out. That's why I was trapped in my mind, because I was trying to figure out just how to create some safety and security and whatever in life. Right. But that's why I was trapped in my head. So that moment, my God was used against me, really, or used for me. But because logically, you see how I made the decision? I made the decision logically. So my God was logic. And logically, I had no other option. I was checkmated because I was playing chess with life, and I just got checkmated. Damn. And boom. So that was the moment everything changed. So level 5 is just like this complete surrender, where I don't own my life anymore. I don't ever know what I'm going to do. I just ask, like, hey, I'll get, hey, fly to Phoenix tomorrow. Go get a plane ticket, fly to Phoenix tomorrow. I'm like, why am I flying to Phoenix? And they're like, I got, one day I was told to fast for 40 days. I'm like, what? I'm going to not eat food for 40 days. Wow. So I did. I went 40 days, and that's when I was able to write my book, If I Die Before I Wake. It was written while I was fasting for 40 days. So it's just, the cool thing is, so the next day, January 25th, was that day when I woke up, I had the whole vision for reinvent the educational system inside of me, because, God's like, hey, you're going to reinvent the educational system. I'm like, what? How am I going to do that? And he's like, well, you're not actually doing it. I'm doing it. Remember, you can't take credit for anything ever again. You're just purely a conduit. You're just the messenger. Your job is get out of the way. Let me do my work through you. Wow. So, but the whole vision was there, like, instantly. Wow. And I've been building ever since. And,
so tell us a little bit more about what that looks like today with Earthwaking University, and tell us more about that, man.
Yeah. So, and then I guess this is another crazy story. So even when you hand your life over to God, and He's going to give you a favor, that's still not the end of the road yet. Nope. So I got all these miracles start coming in. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I got donated a 15,000 square foot building so I could start building my university in. Wow. I just started building, and I built my university, and just all kinds of crazy things were happening. All the way up until there was a moment where I actually said no. Because remember, I was always saying yes. I'm like, whatever I'm asked to do, I just said yes. But there was a moment where I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. It was like past my comfort zone. Now, I didn't realize why I said no, but again, hindsight's 2020. The reason I said no, because actually God asked, there's this girl that I'd been friends with for a few months, but we never held hands. We never kissed or anything. And just out of blue, God said, ask her to marry you. I'm like, no, not going to do that. No, sir. Now, and I'm like, I'll do anything. It was weird because I was actually at a church that day, and it was like on a Wednesday night, and the guy was talking about the Holy Spirit. I'm like, oh, this is my thing. I'm as connected as you can possibly get. Like, so because he had this, he's at the end, he had us all pray, and he's like, all right, Holy Spirit, we're going to all ask the Holy Spirit what he wants us to do next. And I'm sitting there like, that's my life. That's what I do all day, every day. Now, there's a little Bible verse that says, pride cometh before a fall. So I'm like looking around, you peons, like, I'm the best. I'm the best surrender listening to.
I'm the most surrendered here.
I'm the most surrendered. So I said, all right, Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do? And he said, ask her to marry you. I was like, what? He said, ask her to marry you. I'm like, who? And I was looked over. I'm like, when? He said, right now. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. God, that's not how it works down here on earth. You just don't understand. We don't just do things like that. There's a process. So yeah, that was the beginning of, on these 5 levels of consciousness, yeah, you can go back and forth. You can move through them because they're really just 5 states of conscious orientation, 5 ways that you can perceive life through. Like, remember, I talked about you when we're, the Easter Bunny. You could live in a reality where the Easter Bunny is real, even though he's not. Well, so you can go into level 1 where you're a victim, even though you're not. You can perceive a reality in which you're a victim, even though you're not. So I went all the way back down to level 1, and I tell you what, just everything just started going crazy. So what happened is actually, but I moved back into I finally surrendered. I finally started doing everything I was told to do, and then it was just like then I kind of had to, like, all my fears that I didn't know were there. Then they had to be presented to me. So the fears of rejection, I still had the fear of rejection. I still had the fear of letting people down. Those 2 were still in me that were still kind of controlling me that I didn't realize. Like, it was just so subtle that I didn't know. Like, people will say, hey, I want to give my life to God. But the thing is, you can't give something that you don't have. Wow. So you got to take it back first. So, I thought that I'd given it over, but I couldn't give it all over because I still had a few little strings pulling me. There were still a few little fears. They were like, think, 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 where I couldn't fool in. So I had to face those fears. And that looked like just like, I'd built my university and I had partnered with a guy. I dumped everything I had in. We're like, go for a launch. I'm like right on the 1 yard line. I got a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund lined up to go build these universities all over the world because I had the whole model built. We're launched. We're ready to go. And then my partner, he was in it. I was in it for the vision. He was in it for the money. Once he saw the multi-billion dollars, it just it was like the shark smells blood. That was his thing. Wow. Was money. Greed was his thing. Was his big sin or whatever. So it just took him over, and he just took everything, and it was crazy. It was really wild, and just destroyed everything I built. My whole I had my whole group of people. It was all gone. Yeah. And then about a month later, then a Category 5 hurricane comes in and wipes out the entire city, including the building. Because the guy thinking he's about to get billions of dollars, but the building got wiped out. So now all of a sudden he couldn't get the money either because now the whole thing had to start over. So that's when I moved to Austin and started rebuilding everything. So now I've rebuilt I've got a large tribe of people here. The movement has just expanded and growing. I mean, it's just been crazy how fast things have happened in here. I mean, I've done here. And I did in like 3 months what took me years to do out in Florida. And we got a property that I'm going to be buying, 11 acres right outside of Austin. It's got a big conference center. I've got bunk houses because people are actually going to come. It's a university, so people will be staying there, coming to the university, like dorm rooms. It's right on the river. This thing is amazing. So we're about to be doing that. Do we finish at 4?
We can run a few minutes over. My interview's next, but dude, I love it, man.
We didn't even get, so they got to hear the 5 levels without getting to experience the 5 levels. They can go read my book to get to learn the 5 levels, or come to the live event. That's because in the live event we actually go through all 5 levels. Okay. So each of the 5 levels are connected to a lesson. So level one is, I call it disoriented, where you've got no orientation in life. That's a victim mentality. But the lesson is health, which is taking responsibility for your body, because you don't have your body, you don't got anything else in this dimension right here. So that's your foundation. Then level two is called goal oriented. So this is where you start to live in the future. You set goals, and so the lesson is wealth, which is taking responsibility for your external environment. Then level three is called journey oriented. So the lesson is happiness, which is taking responsibility for your internal environment, your thoughts and your feelings. You're the only one in there. So you're the one, putting the things out there on the outside of you. If you're in a job that you hate, you're the one that did that. But on the inside, if you're not happy, nobody else is making you not happy. It's impossible for somebody to make you miserable. You're doing that to yourself, and you're using them. We go where we live emotionally, and we use our environment to get there. So you're just using that person to show you. Because remember, it appears without, though it is within. You're just using them to show you what's already inside of you. So level three is happiness, taking responsibility, your ability to respond to your thoughts and your emotions. Then level four is called value oriented. And this, the lesson is relationships, which is taking responsibility for your connection and contribution to others, because relationships are a place you go to give, not to get. Because if you're trying to go to a relationship to get, that relationship becomes your God, becomes your false idol, because you're like, that thing's going to give me happiness. Anything that you think is going to give you happiness becomes your God. So, but if you're already overflowing, when you've gone through the 5 levels, you've got to level 3, you're full. Then in level 4, you overflow into the world around you. So now you can have real relationships. And then level 5 is soul oriented, which is the lesson is spiritual connection, which is taking responsibility for your connection to infinite intelligence. So it's just complete surrender. So we're going to go through all 5 of those levels and teach all those lessons. There's a recipe and a roadmap for each of those 5 levels. So recipes for health, wealth, happiness, relationship, spiritual connection, where miracles can happen when you have the recipe. You can have a recipe for miracles in each aspect of life. So that's what we do at the live event. We go through all 5 of those. You get the recipes. We do the breakthrough work. We work on the limiting belief, the subconscious patterns that are manifesting the reality that you don't like. We uncover those, and then we dissolve them, because you don't have to you just dissolve them. Because remember, when you introduce the truth to the lie goes away. Every limiting belief is a lie. So all you got to do is tell yourself the truth from a place of you've got to go through the emotion. You can't just say it up in here. You got to go through the emotion to get into the heart and tell yourself the truth. But we'll be doing awesome breakthrough work there. So I'll give everybody on here free tickets. There'll be a little seat reservation fee, where they can reserve their seat. So I make sure I know who's coming, and we'll be doing it right now. We got one coming up, but then we'll start doing it probably monthly, and then we'll start expanding all over the world too. Wow. But so if they can't make it to this one, if they get to the website and the seats are already all gone, then maybe they can get to the next one. But as soon as you hear this, go to awakenedlifelive.com and go reserve your seat. Again, I'm going to give you, it's a $2,000 event, but I'm giving everybody on this podcast, livecast, free tickets. Just go to awakenedlifelive.com and just reserve your seat. And you can actually reserve one for you and bring somebody with you. And then if you want to check out my book, just go to findyourpurposebook.com. You can download my book for free there too. So
yeah. So what are the dates for this upcoming one, Jonathan?
We got November 15th through 17th here in Austin, Texas. And if you haven't been to Austin, Texas yet, come on, because Austin, Texas is incredible. This is the coolest place I've ever been. Wow. Very high frequency, very conscious. It's when God's like, hey, you're moving to Texas. I'm like, Texas? What's in Texas? That's just tumbleweeds and oil, right? Just people eating a bunch of animals, right?
Dang.
But then all of a sudden I'm here in the heart of Texas in Austin. I'm like, wow, this is the complete opposite of what I was expecting. Yeah. I had no idea why I was getting sent here until I got here. I'm like, okay, now I see. And it's just perfect place for this, for this movement to grow and expand. But we've got people in our mastermind group. So the Spiritual Capitalist Mastermind group, we've got them all around the world in our mastermind group. And it's just growing and expanding, and it's all kinds of really cool stuff. So
you have live events. What other ways can people get involved with you? You mentioned the mastermind group. Tell us the different ways. You mentioned the book. Is there any other things that you're doing, online trainings, courses, coaching?
Yeah, so they can go. You just go through the if you'll download my book. If you go to findyourpurposebook.com, there's you can download the book for free. There's a little $1.99 upsell for if you want to get the audio version. Okay. And then if you'll take that audio version, then it goes to the mastermind group where you can join the mastermind group.
Yeah. There's
another little upsell there. It's right now it's only $77. So you can join the mastermind group. I call it the world's greatest mastermind group to find your life's purpose and build and get paid for it. Find your life's purpose and get paid for it.
Wow.
So doing well while doing good. So you can join that mastermind group. We're doing live streams every single Thursday. You can plug in, really awesome group of people. So that would be the best thing to go do. I've also got like a free, if you're like a coach, if you're an expert or coach wanting to build a business, I've created a really good recipe for that too. And you can go to, actually there's a webinar you can watch, which is a free webinar, which is 6figcoach.com. So it's just the number 6, not written out, but just the number 6figcoach.com. And then for the webinar, or you can go to earthwakinguniversity.com/free training. And that'll give you another little training video, like a 20-minute training video. It really teaches, and then it offers, you can go get a free strategy session from, if my calendar is not booked, you can actually get a strategy session with me where I'll one-on-one work with you to help build your coaching business. But if my calendar's full, then we'll get you on somebody off my team will talk to you too. So yeah, if you want to talk to either me or somebody on my team to build a coaching business, then yeah, go to that earthwaking.com/free training.
Damn. Dude, this is gold, man. I love our conversation. It's flown by. Also though, quick. I see so much of me in you, man, and like I'm literally gonna go back to this conversation and like listen to all the distinction points that you grew through and say, hey, what is the reflection of this in my life? Because Jonathan, I really see myself in your story, and it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Awesome. Thank you.
So powerful. And I love what you're out to create. I love the epic vision that you have, man. The massive action that you're taking on it. All these resources, mastermind group. It's super cool, dude. I love what you're doing. And we have Ann in the audience who said, tell him so is Vegas. Vegas is also awesome. Like Austin, you're out here. And because Ann's out in Vegas, she's going to be coming on the marathon later today.
Cool.
And she said he needs to have a conference out here in Vegas. So whenever you come out to Vegas, let's do it. And we got to get our butts to Austin at your space, man, because this is like super powerful. And I mentioned it before, like I want to connect you with people who are in the area and just help you get this message out, because like I'm vibing with it.
Nice. Perfect. I mean, every time you talk, I'm like, hey, is that me talking right now? It's so wild.
Dude, yeah. I really love the aspect of surrendering my life, like I really feel like I'm at that point where I'm like I trying to still take credit, and like I love all the recipes, like everything you mentioned, man. I really I'm excited to grow our relationship more and just learn from you, because you've been where I'm at, you've been where I want to go, and man, just really love what you're doing.
Yeah, surrender is awesome space, because you actually get way more done. Like that's when the miracles occur, and you've got absolutely no weight on your shoulders. You're doing way bigger things with no weight on your shoulders, because you're like, hey, I'm just a conduit. I'm not taking credit for any of it. If I'm told to do this, I just do it. The results are none of my business. Wow. That's the cool part. The results are none of your business. When you're told to do something, you do it. You don't get to take credit for if it goes good or if it goes bad. So because everything happens for a reason, all things work for good. And you'll know no matter what happens. If you were told to do it and you knew it and you said, okay, and I surrender, and you do it, no matter what happens, it's a good thing. So it's really, really awesome. So you'll either get what you thought you were going to get or way more.
That's right. I love it. Okay, so everyone tuning in, they can go to earthwaking.org to check out Jonathan's website. You can also go to awakenedlifelive.com, and they can get access to the event, get their free ticket, and get their butts to Austin November 15th through the 17th for this epic event, man. And also findyourpurposebook.com.
Yeah, they can actually get it at earthwaking.org. They can get my book there too.
Okay. Cool.
Same, or findyourpurpose.com.
Okay.
Findyourpurposebook.com.
Cool, man. Awesome. Jonathan, love it, man. Love what you're doing. Right. Love you, brother. So much appreciation and like just gratitude awesome. for this experience. And
dude, you're incredible. Knocking out these 12 hours. Like you're a machine, or you're an open conduit. You're a channel of love. Right. Work, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. You're really helping, serving humanity, and you're a lighthouse. So thank you so much for being you.
Let's take it to the next level together, man.
All righty, cool.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, bye.